Yo, how's it going, Mathmech players? Welcome back to another Mathmech, Codetalker, and I suppose Firewall as well. But going forward, I'm just going to say Mathmech because it's a lot simpler. And if you already know my videos, you kind of know that I use the Codetalker and Firewall stuff as support anyway. But as you can see on my screen, I've managed to make Master 1 again. Very, very pleased. Today's the 16th of November. Usually I try to make it before the 10th, but I think I started on like the 9th. So yeah, I think I started pretty late for how I usually would start. But either way, I'm happy with making Master 1 regardless, because now I get to actually take some time back to myself just to chill, but also get to create actual content for you guys. Now it's no longer just me climbing in the background. So what I wanted to do for this video is jump into the deck list as well as my 5 games up to the rank up, and then I'm going to show you highlights for the season followed by a deck breakdown. Now the reason why I'm stating this now is because I know not everyone wants to actually listen to all of it, but for those who do, I'm going to obviously timestamp it at the bottom and then you can just skip to the parts that are relevant to you. So what I'll do is I'll start with the deck list and then I'll jump straight into the replay. So first is the deck list. Now, I'm not actually going to do a deck breakdown now, I'll do that at the very end like I said, but I'll just click through the cards one by one. So okay, try to keep it as quick as possible, but yeah, here's the deck list and now we'll just jump straight into the replays. Okay, so guys, for the rank up games, I'm going to keep them quite short because these aren't the main talking points that I actually want to go through, so let's just get into them. So this is the mirror match with Mathmech, it's the 5th game. So let's just try and fast forward this as much as possible. There are a few talking points, but like I said, the main ones aren't really from this gameplay. I just wanted to show you authentic gameplay going into Master 1. Like, this is what it would look like, to be honest, just like a very random game. Now usually Maxi would win me this game because Mathmech can't play through, but he has Ashe, and well, good for him. Like, I can't really fault him for it. I wish I had Ashe every time. Now I made a mistake here, so I think this is a good talking point. If you're playing against Mathmech, you know what cards are going to be the real threat here. So I Ashed Parallel Exceed thinking he wouldn't have an extension because he normal summoned Subtraction. What a stupid thing I did, because I should have actually saved it for Alan Bershin, because, well, that is the real threat here. It goes into Circular and then the rest of the Super Factorial combo. And like I've explained before in other videos, all you need is 2 Cyburst monsters and now you can go into Terahertz. So he's able to build Super Factorial with the 3 materials he needs. Although he doesn't have Diameter yet, he uses that on our turn, so he sends it using Terahertz. But he makes a huge mistake here, and as a Mathmech player you should definitely, 1, not make the same mistake as him, but 2, exploit it when they do. So he's put transcode in the extra monster zone. Now why that's a mistake is because since the Firewall support has come out, that should never be an option anymore. Now what I'm saying is, because the Firewall support coming out, Mathmech is such a popular deck, so it's very common for the mirror match to come up like this, and now I use his transcode against him. Now what I mean by this is because all I need to do now is get access code co-linked with transcode, and it's untargetable by card effects, and I can just clear his board for free. And because Mathmech is not built for the mid to long range game, I just completely tear this guy apart. So he made a mistake here, and I was quite fortunate because, well, given the cards in my hand, I was able to bait out certain interactions, and yeah, just from there it was just quite easy. So I was quite pleased with this actual matchup. But yeah, I'll speed up a little bit. So I bait out his Omni Negate using Splash Mage, because had he let Code Generator go to the field and then I used it as link material for Codetalker, he would have been fucked. Like, it's just endless what I could have added to my hand, because look, 1200 attack or less or below, I could have had another extender essentially and just kept playing further into it. So yeah, easy as that. Now here you'll notice I don't use Transcode's effect because I wasn't sure if this was Signet conflicts. Now even though they are co-linked, it still would have been banishable and negatable, so I didn't want to lose just to that. So, and I've made a very similar mistake before. So what I did was I get rid of Terahertz first, as you'll see now, then I get rid of Codetalker, because essentially this, because it has a material Laplation, if I tried to destroy it by card effect, it would just detach one material instead. So I would have basically wasted a link material in the graveyard, and I don't have any more, so I would have lost the game at that point. So I definitely made the right decision here, get rid of Laplation, and like I said before, we're not built for mid to long range, so I was pretty confident he didn't have anything. Had he drawn Mathmech Circular or Diameter or whatever, I would have been fucked, but it is what it is. I would have eaten my words, but it didn't turn out that way, so I'm cool. Now, the tactic I would have done here, so he negated this, right? So 2300 attack. I would have used addition onto it, so 3300. He had 3700, so still not enough, even with the 100 attack from Guardian, by the way, which I think is terrible. But what I would have done is I would have made G-Golem, put it in this zone, co-linked it with an access code, and he would have gained 500 attack from the G-Golem, and he would have been able to attack twice. So I would have been fine. Like, that would have been an OTK for us, so in a very good spot here. And I was very lucky this wasn't Silent Conflict, so I was quite happy. But yeah, that's game number 1. Let's jump straight into game number 2. Game number 2 is not really that entertaining. It's pretty much just Kashtira, and 1, I'm going first, and 2, he doesn't even stay, because I open with Silent Conflict, which he wouldn't know, obviously, but I go for the Signet Codec line, just to keep extending my body, so I get the endboard that I want. That's the beauty of Signet Codec, it's just, you get to design your endboard for free. And then, yeah, essentially from here, I'll fast forward it a bit, because, like I said, this isn't the most entertaining gameplay, but he ashes this, which is, yeah, the right thing to ash in most cases, so I just go for the rest of my plays. Now, in my final deck list, you saw I wasn't playing Phantom, and I don't have any regrets about that, just because it itself is a bricky card, and I'll go into the deck breakdown later on, but essentially, let's just go through the gameplay as is. But I go into transcode, and then he doesn't want to play anymore, so he just leaves, and I completely understand. Like, I've played against a lot of Codetalker this season, and if I don't have the out, what am I playing through? Like, if they're going to try and V-lock me, they're going to V-lock me. Like, what can I do? Like, they're just going to do it, and I've waited all this time for absolutely nothing. So I'm just better as playing Runic. This game has a few talking points, actually. I think this actual gameplay displays a good example of why I use Protect Code over Heat Soul. But again, I'll do a deck breakdown at the very end, and we can discuss the cards one by one. But yeah, now having triple tactics in my hand, I was begging for him to have a hand trap. I just didn't want him to ash my Silent Mining. That would have, yeah, that would have made me sad. But we're all good. We're able to combo off into a simpler combo. But I wanted to bait out the idea that I had Signet Conflict. So what I did was I made Protect Code and still had enough materials to go into Terahertz, and then I just resummoned Protect Code from its own effect. So that way, it just seems like I have Signet Conflict. And the reason why I wanted to like make it seem like I have it is because Mathmech being so popular now, everyone knows the combos we go for. Everyone knows that Signet Conflict may be in the deck. If they're playing pure Mathmech, then they're not, obviously, but just for the sake of it. And then the additional effect is that, look, they cannot target my Terahertz with card effects. So you're going to see he uses Flashing Fire here, which is the one that destroys the special summon monster. And he can't target my Terahertz. So I just resummon my Protect Code for free. He wasted the Spell Trap Destruction on the triple tactic, so I still have my super factorial. I'm in a really good spot. I ash the Huggin, I bring back the Protect Code, so my Terahertz is now protected again, and then I just use D-Save Worm and then clean the board with super factorial. And look, very simple game. He would have ended up with 0 cards in his hand, so, and the field just nothing. So yeah, very, very clean game for us. And then this game was, yeah, okay, so I'm actually not going to show this game because it's just a lot of nothing, really. So in a nutshell, I max he doesn't have the out, so he just tries to summon his entire deck and his extra deck so he can deck me out, and he gets me down to 5 cards, and then the time limit runs out and he loses. So that's pretty much that game. I'm not going to make you suffer through that. Now, the very last game, my rank up game, was obviously early today. You can see here by the time, and it was against none other than Mathmech, as you just saw. So I was very pleased with how this game went, because essentially I was able to use triple tactics talent for the first time in, I think, since I got the card with a Mathmech, like, because I had it before Mathmech when I was playing Dark Magician, but I just never was allowed to use this card, never given the opportunity to actually look at my opponent's hand during Mathmech and just rip out a card. And I'm so glad I was, because when you see his hand, it's just insane. Like, so yeah, he stops a lot of my main playset, and look at that hand. Like, that is actually a really, really good hand, going first or going second, because look, he has the natural 1-card combo. He's able to get and build a negate from Diameter, so just very easy summons from there, and then you can just search for anything else in the deck. So yeah, had to get rid of Circular very naturally, and then just sort of build into the rest of my play. So I'm still able to make a Signet Conflict board, and I'll show you how I do it now. So I bring back the Splash Mage, make Protect Code, and then I use all 3 materials to go into Terahertz, so that way I have the D-Save Worm line as well, and then using Protect Code's effect, just bring itself back. So this is like the beauty of Protect Code. So now I can use engraved materials and still create a strong end board. Now, Obviously, when this card leaves the field now, if he draws a Kaiju, it's banished and I lose the Sonic Conflict. But I think it's worth taking those risks because look at this Emboar. It's pretty strong considering that I don't have the Mathmech line. So yeah, he draws Called by the Grave. Unfortunate, but it could have been worse. And then, yeah, here, look. Good example of a bad Small World bridge. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to link the Small World bridge site below in the description just because I think it's really important that if you're going to play this card, you need to know how to use it. Otherwise, you're going to make the same mistake as this guy and then draw into absolute shit. Now, I don't think he could have done anything, but regardless, it's still worth learning. And the site that I'll link you, I don't know who made it, but props to him. And if I ever find out, then I'll give him the proper credit. But amazing site, really, really easy to use. So yeah, I'll link that below. But that's pretty much all my games going into Master 1, guys. A lot of them are down here with the losses. We'll maybe go through those in a bit. But right now, I just want to get into the highlights and go through the main talking points. So I'll see you there. Right, so guys, for the replays, I actually have 9 replays for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play them back to back just so you can actually watch them unfiltered and with no narration. And then we'll do an actual game analysis on the key games, which I think are 1 or 2 of them. So if you don't really feel like listening to any of the analysis, feel free to skip. I'll timestamp everything at the bottom so you can just, watch the gameplay as is. But for those who do want to, again, I'll timestamp that as well. So you can go ahead and just watch that when it comes up. But yeah, enjoy the clips. Right, so for this section, guys, I'm going to do the deck analysis and the gameplay analysis into one. I want to keep it very concise and as quick as possible. So why don't I just jump straight into the actual gameplay analysis. So starting with the replay against DDD, I want to actually speak about why I think Protect Code is, in my eyes, better than Heat Soul. So I'm going to skip the whole combo because you've already got the replay. I think the important thing here is that we start. So starting with their turn. By the way, DDD is such a good deck. Like, I didn't realize how many extenders they have just within their own main archetype cards. Like, insane. So yeah, this is just a typical interaction. I read the description of this card and thought if he summons another card from DDD, because he hasn't even used his normal summon yet, I was in a lot of trouble. So I thought best to remove this now. He's used up his Call by the Grave, so I thought I was in a really good spot here. And to be honest, I never play against this deck, so I don't even know what the main guys are. So if someone in the comments wants to enlighten me as to where I should have used my Silent Conflict beforehand, I'm more than happy to hear it out, because yeah, if I do come across this deck again and I don't have the setup that I do now, then I probably won't do very well. So yeah, so pretty much he just keeps adding cards, so on. But the main thing here is that he tries to he outs Protect Code, thinking that, well, knowing that Silent Conflict cannot work without it. But yeah, look, just by its own effects, I'll bring it back. Silent Conflict is now live. He's used up his battle phase, so now he's forced to go into Zeus, and then of course I can stop Zeus with Silent Conflict. So I'm in a pretty decent spot here, but again, if you feel like I could have stopped this earlier, if there's like key cards that I'm not aware of, then just let me know, because I'm more than happy to learn about how to defeat another archetype, because, well, it's just good knowledge, really. So yeah, and then he makes the mistake of bringing out a Link monster, but look at all the extensions. Like, he's still able to Pendulum Summon, bring back this guy, go into his boss monster again. This is insane. Like, yeah, this is crazy. I didn't even know like DDD had this capability in them. So, but either way, look, the main thing is that I brought back Protect Code, and he knows that he lost here because Terahertz negates all monster effects in the battle phase. So that was replay number 1. I'm only going to go through another 2. So this one is against Kashtira. Now again, gonna save you the trouble of watching me go for another end board. And this should be a fair point. Now this is a great, to me this is like one of the best end boards, because look, 2 interruptions from Terahertz, you've got extra protection from Protect Code because it stops people from targeting terahertz with card effects, as well as being able to bring itself back if it's outed. And then of course we've got 2 from Super Factorial, Silent Conflict, and then another from Ash. So that's 6 interruptions in total. Wait, 2, 4, yeah, 6. 6 in total. Like. So now that he's added Birth, you don't want to let Birth actually activate its effects to allow something to normal summon itself. So I want to remove 1, 2, and 3. So he's just left with 4 cards in his hand. And then, yep. So yeah, remove all these. So he doesn't even get to activate the effect of Unicorn banishing something from our extra deck face down. But we pretty much got the boss monsters out anyway. He tries to attack. Well, he does attack, sorry, I keep saying that. And then look, we just bring it back. Like, it's just as easy as that. He's used up his battle phase now. He can't banish terahertz even if he tried. Yep, we've stopped Kashtira Theosis. And then we're going to use the negate off Labrynth to make sure that nothing gets banished, because basically, if Protect Code leaves the field this time, it will just get banished. So we will lose Silent Conflict through that way. But he's used his battle phase, so we're in a really good spot here. Now, I could have banished it at that point using Silent Conflict, but I just wasn't sure. But I knew that if I got rid of this, I would have been in a good spot, because he shouldn't have any more extenders from here. So that was pretty much simple from there. And then look. Now, even if he has infinite impermanence, because of Protect Code, he can't target terahertz with card effects. And you'll see here, because he tries to banish Protect Code, because again, can't target terahertz, and it's negated in the battle phase anyway, so. And then I think he just leaves at this point, yeah. So it's just one of those things where I feel this card adds more value than Heat Soul. If Heat Soul was on the field, what really are we getting from this? Like, this is getting, yeah, like he could just attack into Heat Soul. I'm not able to bring it back. Silent Conflict is now dead. So I do like the idea that I just realized his name is Itchy Nose. That is hilarious. Oh my days. Okay, yeah, sorry. Anyway, so on to the last replay, because I want to keep this nice and brief. So this one, there's not really any interaction with my opponent. It's just to show how having a card like Silent Codec, or if you prefer Small World, you can extend into the rest of your combo just by being creative, really. But I prefer Silent Codec because you can map out your combo through the Codetalker monsters, because through their attributes, you can just add the cards that you need and then send the ones that you don't to the graveyard, and then send the ones that you do need at the end to the graveyard as well. So through Mathmech Circular. And then, so I won't skip this one because we do need to see this. But yeah, it's just so useful. And now with Link Decoder, we're just getting so many more bodies on board that we no longer need to end on just Transcode and Heat Soul before. Like, that to me is not even a considered combo anymore. There's no way you'll find me ending on that. Because why? Like, why would I need to put myself into a position where those two are the only monsters left? Like, it's just, yeah, it's just not a thing anymore. So if you are doing that still, I do think you should reconsider how you're playing it, just because you're open to a lot of vulnerability there. And they have no interactions. You just get a draw off Heat Soul, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, pretty much standard from here. I think he leaves after I get Circular, because essentially we special summon Diameter from Inverted Effect. We can send a card for cost for Circular, and then go into Alan Version with the negate. So, and we've secured everything here. Like, so solid. So yeah, I just wanted to showcase that. But right now we'll jump straight back into Master Duel. So if I just go into the deck list. Now, in past videos, I do go into like excruciating detail, but I'm going to save you the hassle and suffering, and I'll just go through them very briefly as to why I've chosen them. And then we can maybe discuss it in the comments as to whether you agree, disagree, or whether you hate it or like it. I don't mind. So, Jordan Lockbird, just great for combo decks. I had it in preparation for Purely, but having not played Purely much this season, it's still been very good against combo decks, which is the majority of the decks I've been playing against, like Floo and Vanquish. Those two decks very much depend on drawing cards, so this has been a very big help for me. Now, Dotscaper, 2 reasons. If you're playing Small World, sorry, almost said Smallscaper. If you play Small World, this is a great bridge, but for me, it's just a great extension, because off of Code Generator, you can send it to the graveyard, bring itself back, and now you can just extend into your further combos. Microcoder, obviously, just to get into Silent Conflict. If you don't know what this card does, if you link summon into a Codetalker monster, you can use this card from the field or hand. From the field, you can add any level 4 body or the spell and traps, but from hand, you can only add the spell and traps that are Signet. So we always go for the counter trap from here. But if you already have the counter trap, I go for Codec, and then I just extend into the rest of my combo to make sure I get the end board that I want. Kurikara is just to out any towers boss monsters that activate their effects on your turn. Now, stuff like X Purely Noir and the Kashtira boss monsters, so Shangri-Era, and then of course more importantly, Rise Heart. That way, you know, you're not under that banishment effect, and you can just keep playing. And you keep the card for yourself. You're not kaijuing it and they get like a big body on board. So you're in a good spot here. Maxi is just an easy given. Card economy if they start special summoning. Just be careful using this card against a deck like Dark World, because they'll just deck you out. That's pretty much the goal for them. So, and if they're playing the, not gimmick puppet, but the Edo Supreme line. Basically, you can't summon monsters, so once that's on your field, unless you play, I don't know, Forbidden Droplet, you're pretty much fucked. Well, I am anyway, because I can't really tribute the monster for anything, so yeah, pretty much stuck there. Ash Blossom, just a staple hand trap. I can't really say much other than it's just amazing against decks like Labrynth, who require their most important pieces to come from the main deck, so this just completely stops them. You can also use Ghost Spell. That's great against Big Welcome, but for me, I don't really have space in my deck. I just don't. Like, I could maybe make space for it, but then I lose a lot of risk to, you know, bricking even further, so I don't really want this in my hand. Code Generator, as I explained, it's an extender from Dotscaper, but as a backup line, I also use it as an OTK, so I can send multiplication, make access code into a double big body, 10,600 damage, and essentially he doesn't even have to delete the whole board. He can just attack into one attack position monster that has 2,600 or less attack, and then that's 8,000 damage. But of course, pay attention to your opponent's life points, see how it goes. This card is an extender from Defensor. It's a 1-card combo piece, but if you open with it, it is a brick, because it's not, yeah, it's just not fun to open with. It's not a card that you actually want in your starting hand. And then of course we have the Mathmech pieces. I play one of each, except Circular, of course, because this is our 1-card combo. Now you can play multiple copies, but just remember, you have to decide whether you're going to play pure Mathmech or have a very wide variety of Defensor, the Spirit line, or the Codetalker stuff, and that's completely up to you, and we'll touch on that in the conclusion, basically. But yeah, so those are the Mathmech cards. Firewall, I kind of explained. I was playing Phantom, but Phantom to me is just too bricky. I got some nice replays from it where I can get Sonic Codec and go into the rest of my plays, but overall, that card is so bricky. Like, if you open with it, it's even more difficult to summon because it's a level 5, so to me, it just wasn't worth adding into the deck list, so I'm happy with the 4 Firewall cards here. Parallel Exceed, just one of the best extenders this game has ever seen. So I play 2. Now, if I open with 2, then I just, you know, I own up to the fact that it's just a brick and I've lost, and that's my fault. But you should really play 3. I'm just being stubborn, and I want to make space for cards like Sonic Codec. So moving on to Nibiru. Nibiru being one of the best combo, well, anti-combo cards. It's just so good against the mirror match, if I'm being honest. Sometimes I have Super Factorial set up, and even with Terahertz on board, I'll let my opponent think that they've summoned into access code and I'm an idiot, and thinking that I can't respond, and then I just Nibiru the whole board, and then use Super Factorial to completely clean up the rest of the match, and they always scoop because they have nothing in hand and can't do anything, so I'm very pleased from there. And then of course we have Signet Mining. I only play 1 because with all these starters, I'm not really that fussed about having too many search cards, but at the same time, once Circular gets hits to 1, we may be heavily dependent on Small World and Signet Mining just to make sure we get the ideal pieces that we need to start our combo going forward. Triple Tactics Talent. I'm taking a risk on this card, and it paid off in my rank up game, but like I've said in past videos, this card has just been so harsh on me, because a lot of the times when I have it, I'm not even able to activate it, and opening going second with this card just isn't that great. You may get the draw 2 off it, sometimes you can control the monster if you need it, like it can come in clutch, but this card has just not been very nice to me in the past, so I've taken a risk on it, but it's paid off a little bit. Deck Lockdown, this is just my form of a floodgate. We have so many decks playing Tickaboo now. Now, if you don't know what Tickaboo is, it is, I've got it from my Dark Magician days. There can be only one. This card against Mathmech is just a game killer, so unless you can out it by, I don't know, with like Red Reboot or some kind of card destruction, if you play that in your deck, Harpy's Feather Duster, Mystical Space Typhoon, even Eccentric would be a great card against this, then, oh sorry, against this. Unless you can't, if you can't out it, then you're fucked, because we play only Cyburst monsters, and if you read the effects, we can only control 1 of each type, and I don't know, that is such an annoying card, I really hate it. So that's why I play cards like Deck Lockdown, just we have our own floodgate, well I have my own floodgate, not we. So I play this against stuff like Labrynth and Purely, they cannot play through it, it's just impossible for them, so yeah, just an amazing card to have against decks like that. Signet Codec, this is like one of my favorite cards for extending. You can have search cards like Small World, Signet Mining, and of course Signet Backdoor as well, but for me, I just prefer a card like this. I feel like with this, you have more flexibility to design the endboard that you want. Now, you can disagree with me if you want, but this is just how I've seen it. This is how I map out a combo in my head, but of course, it's not the only way to get to the endboard that I want. I just think it's the easiest, so I do much prefer having a card like this, and I'm playing 2 instead of a 3rd Parallel Exceed just so I can more likely see this in my opening hand. And you can play 3, but if you open with 3, opening with 2 rather than 3 is, you know, easier to push around, because if you have 3, 2 of them are absolutely dead, but with 2 of them, only 1 of them is dead, and even if it gets destroyed, you've got the backup to go forward, so it's just one of those things. And remember, Mathmech is for the short game, not for the mid to long range, so... and then Call by the Grave, like, it just sucks to be hit by Maxi, so I am playing 2 again, just because I do want to increase my likelihood of stopping that, as well as Effect Veiler if I need to, and Ash, of course. And And then Cross Out Designator, this is just the Omni Hand Trap negate. So I try to play as many as I can. I don't put Effect Veiler in just because I can't have too many one-offs, otherwise it will just mess up the consistency like highly. So yeah, I do tend to just sort of stick with the ones I have that I think are the most effective, particularly Nibiru, because setting up your full combo at the end of the turn and then they just Nibiru you, it does suck. So it is really nice to have this and to stop that, and then now they have a dead card in their hand because you're not going to summon 5 times after knowing they have Nibiru. So yeah, quite pleased with that. And then of course you've got 1 Infinite Impermanence. You can play 2 of this card. It is fantastic. It has won me games by itself, but I don't know, I just can't really find the space for it, so I've just left it at 1. Super Factorial is basically what makes Mathmech Mathmech. Red Reboot, I would actually almost advise you play 2 of this card if you're playing a lot of Labrynth. For myself, I am, so I'm considering whether I take out a Sonic Codec and play a second one of these, but whenever I go first, opening with 1 or 2 of these isn't the greatest feeling. It can be okay to open with 1 if you have enough pieces to go for full combo, or at least semi-full combo, but if you open up with 2, it's like, when am I going to use 2 versions of this? Because I'm going to be losing a lot of life points there. It just makes my, it makes it easy for my opponent to, one-shot me, so I tend not to play 2, but I'm just considering it anyway. And then Silent Conflict, yeah, just a God-given from Microcoder, just a fantastic card overall. An Omni Negate, that's a counter trap, just amazing. Right, now, so for the extra deck, Desave Worm, Link Decoder, and Protect Codes, in my opinion, are the main cards that have come from the Singularity package. The Firewall stuff is amazing, but it's not as important yet. But it's just because Circular is at 3 still, so until then, these 3 are the best cards coming from that pack. But yeah, look, now that we have a new Spell Trap Negate from Terahertz, it's just amazing that we just have this, extra interruption just built into the game for us for free. Like, it's just awesome. So yeah, that's great. Playing 1 Laplation, 2 Alambertian. You can play a second of each of them, because some people like to set up that negate on their following turn, or some people like to rip a card from their first turn with Laplation and then set it up again through Super Factorial on the next turn. Aggregator is optional. An alternative to Aggregator that I am heavily considering if I play the Singularity package is to get... Oh, I clicked the wrong thing, sorry. Is this card. If I do play Singularity, I may even consider having this, because if I send this to the graveyard, by the effects of Terahertz, instead of Aggregator, but having Desave them as well on a different turn on the first turn, this is a negate on its own. Like, it's a quick effect, banish this card from the field and then target 1 face-up card. I feel like the timing of this card is better than Aggregator, but it does require you to have Singularity on the field, so a little bit of mixed feelings there. Link Spider, it's just in case you get Nibiru, because if you look at the extra monsters, look, 2 Cyburst monsters, 2 Cyburst monsters, 2 Cyburst monsters. Going into these, I'd say recovery cards, you need 2 Cyburst monsters, so turning the token into an effect Cyburst monster is almost essential just to continue your plays from there. So, but you don't have to play that, that's a completely flex spot, so play it as you wish. Lingeribo, it's just nice to have a trap negate, if I'm being honest. Now that we have so many cards that we can go into, it's not the most essential starter, but it is just nice to have that trap negate, so Lingeribo is great. Update Jammer and Access Code are just one in the same. It's just the Turbo OTK that used to be our only option, but now since Terahertz has come out, it's now an alternative option. And for myself, it's actually the backup option. I don't ever go for it first. It's only if my opponent only summons defense position monsters, then I consider myself, okay, I need to go for Update Jammer, and then just delete the field and then shoot twice per game. In Codetalker Inverted, that is just for Sonic Codec. It's just to make sure I get my Mathmech bodies, particularly Circular, because I can continue my combo from there. And then of course, Splash Mage, another Link extender going into the Link climbing. And then of course you've got G-Golem, who's another recovery card, I'd say. It's really good for Singularity, but for myself, I just like it in case I need to get back Transcode, which can also bring back Splash Mage or any other Link monster. That is level 3 and below, by the way. And then from there, I can just continue my plays. And it's really nice to make, access code with G-Golem and Splash Mage and have it co-linked with Transcode, and that way it's just not targetable by stuff like Effect Veiler. It's just nice. That's all I can say. It's just really nice. Now, Protect Code, a lot of people may think that you should play Heat Soul over this, and look, fair enough. If that's how you want to play, then play. That's completely your option. But for me, I find this card has a lot more value just because of the protection for Terahertz, as well as its revivability from its own effect as a quick effect. I really, really enjoy that. I think that's so cool. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. So yeah, either way, I'm going to be playing this going forward. Heat Soul to me is not going to make my deck list for a long time, I think. Already explained access code, and then yeah, Terahertz, just the big bad boy himself, the OTK line, the double interruption. This guy is just incredible. So, and I think he's arguably my favorite card this season and last season since he came out, really. Like before he even came to Master Duel, I was like, yeah, this card is so sick. So yeah, I've been dying for this card to come out. Happy it came out like a month ago, so I've just been abusing it ever since. But yeah, that's pretty much the deck analysis and the gameplay analysis down. I tried to keep this as concise as possible. And of course, I've timestamped everything at the bottom, so you'll see that this is a commentary, and if you've avoided it this far, then by all means. But look, I'm going to move into the conclusion now and then wrap up the video, but thank you so much for listening. Yo, so guys, just to wrap up and conclude the video, I kind of just wanted to spread a little bit of advice for any new Mathmech players or anyone who's struggling to get into Master 1. I do give the advice that you should try out new cards, but I think I should give a little bit more detail as to what I mean. So I've just got my opponent's deck here. I can't remember what game this was, but this was way before any of the replays I've shown you. So essentially, I still beat this player, but I always check their deck afterwards because I like to see what deck people have played, and particularly Mathmech, I like to see other people's variations. But this guy was still able to compete with the end board I had. I had the Omni Negate, I had Superfactorial with Diameter in the grave, Desave Worm in the grave, Didn't have Aggregator, I wasn't playing Aggregator at that point. But my point is, what I was saying is, I just find that with basic Mathmech and a few extra level 4 extenders, this deck is still super competitive. Like, you don't need to make humongous changes and have like one-offs like I do. Like, my deck is so unusual, so erratic, because this is just what works for me. Because to me, I just find that if you take the risk on some cards, it will pay off. But of course, it has the reverse effect as well, as it will be bricky. Like, I took a risk on Phantom, paid off sometimes, got some nice replays from it, but for the most part, that card was a huge brick. And I just learned the hard way of losing so many games, losing so much progress in the actual rank climb. And there was another card that I cut as well, but just there was a lot of cards that I felt messed with the consistency of the deck. And then of course, it doesn't feel nice to lose the Max E because you can't play through it, and then your opponent just combos for game, and it feels shit, right? But for me, this deck list works. Like, I always like to do a draw sample 5 and just see how I'm getting on. Like, this, not great. Like, if he ashes me, then it's pretty peak, and I don't play Almirage, so getting into my plays would be pretty tough. But I got a triple tactics in case. This is okay. It's not too bad. Stops the Maxi. Can go to the rest of my plays. Like, if he ashes, the search from Signet Mining by discarding Sigma for cost, I can still go into my defensive play. Like, there's just still so much I can do, and I just like to test it, see how I'm getting on it. Look, this is fine. Like, these are good hands in my opinion. So to me, there's a lot of potential. Oh, this isn't so great because I've opened with this, but still, like, not every hand is going to be great. Like, this is pretty great for me. All I need is to get a few Mathmech bodies in the graveyard, and I've got my turn. Like, this is it. But still, like, my point is that don't just copy the deck that I have and then expect it to work for you. I think a better baseline deck is to go for the one I copy from my opponents. I think that's a fantastic deck. And if you look on like Master Duel meta and you check the decks that I've already made Master 1, they're pretty much plain pure Mathmech decks with a tiny bit of Codetalker support in between. Some of them play the Spirit line, some of them play the Firewall line, Firewall Defense line, and either way, like, just play to what you think is comfortable and what works for you, because there is no wrong way to play Mathmech. Pure Mathmech still is super competitive, and it's because Circular is at 3. Now, once this card goes to 1, because I'm pretty sure that's inevitable, I think we can all accept that at some point. So I've just taken out the Spirit support, because I don't think the Spirit support is going to be the #1 thing holding this deck up. I think it's going to be Firewall, Defensor with Guardian, and then just for this example, I'll just throw in Phantom just as a risk. And then this will probably be the end board. Like, so you can see this guy doesn't play Nabla, so there's just a lot of different. So Nabla will probably be more consistent. So your deck will probably look something like this. But of course, I think make a copy of this deck, not as it is now, as I showed you before, but make a copy of the deck and then make changes where you see fit to the average game state that you're facing. I've seen a few people in the comments talking about they don't face the same decks as I do, and they made different adjustments to their deck. And I was really happy to read that, because to me, I just want to make sure that you're not just copying what I do and then think it's the same thing. Because like I said before, there is not one way to play Mathmech. There are so many ways. I just like to have a large variation of Firewall Defensor support as well as the Codetalker support, particularly in the extra deck. I love to play around Signet Codec and just sort of make sure I'm building the end board that I want. So that works for me, but this works perfectly for him. Like, he's got 4 starters. So if he gets Nibiru, still as a starter, opens with a hand trap, still as a starter, Lingaribo is a starter in many ways, and also a trap negate, and then Link Decoder is great for link climbing, etc. So this guy, when I saw his deck list and the way he was competing with me in the duel, and I had like what I would call the most ideal end board, it just showed to me that Mathmech by itself, with a tiny bit of support, is still really, really competitive. So you don't have to play the way I do. In fact, in the TCG, it looks more like this. So we take out the Silent Conflict, put in 1 more of these, put 2 more of these, and then take out, I'm pretty sure they don't play Nabla, and they only have 1 Call by the Grave. So it looks something like this. Like, this is pretty much what a TCG deck looks like, and it's still super competitive for them. They still get to play against, you know, the top decks, which is Purely, Kashtira, and they still do like pretty well. They're not exactly reigning champions because decks like Unchained and Rescue Ace have the full support. Now, if you don't know those decks, you just wait. Those decks are insane. Those decks are crazy. If you thought Rescue Ace was good now, wait till the rest of it comes. It's just, yeah, broken deck. Everyone plays it in the OCG. So, yeah. But I just wanted to raise that point and just know that if anyone's a new Mathmech player, don't just copy the deck I'm playing. Copy this deck, or the one I just showed you before this, and then, yeah, make changes where you see fit. But look, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for the support. And guys, I saw we got to 90 subscribers. That is insane for me. Like, I was honestly, my goal for like the year was like 10 subscribers. I was happy with just, you know, mingling with 10 of you who are passionate about Mathmech. But yeah, thank you so much for all the support. I really appreciate it. It's just been wonderful to make videos with you guys and actually interact with you. But either way, if you didn't get this far, because I know these videos are really long, I timestamped everything at the bottom, so you can just skip through the parts that are relevant to you and you can watch the video at your own pace. But either way, thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.